All right, before we truck into any specific course content, I'm going to throw some questions and some ideas your way that are going to come up over and over and over again throughout the entire course. And I want you to start thinking about these questions and ideas and how you might come to some answers for yourself in response to these questions. And what's really important to keep in mind, and I'll repeat this a number of times, is I don't care what in particular you think. I'm interested in what you think, but I'm not attached to what you think. I'm most interested in how you come to the conclusions that you do, why you change your mind when you do, what evidence led you to come up with the ideas that you have. But I don't have any interest in you thinking like me. I don't have any interest in you holding a particular view. I just care that you think. So when I pose these questions to you to think about, I'm not asking you to think about them so that you can come up with answers that will satisfy me. I'm asking you to think about them so that you can come up with answers that will satisfy you. So what I'd recommend doing is grabbing a sheet of paper or opening up a window on your computer to take notes of these questions. Because as I say, they're going to come up over and over again throughout the semester. And I may do something super fiendish, like ask you to do a formal assignment that addresses some of these questions. So as you're doing your reading, as you're watching your lectures during the course, you're going to see ideas come up that are related to the questions I'm going to share with you. And if you write down some notes, that'll make it really easy for you to deal with these questions and thoughts in a formal assignment. All right, so ideas, truth, wisdom. This is going to come up over and over and over again this course, but it begs some questions. What is an idea? What is an idea? I've asked students before at the beginning of a class meeting, hey, in 5 minutes, describe for me what an idea is. And if you try it, it's really kind of a difficult concept to define. You might race to a dictionary, but that's probably not going to be much help in giving somebody a sense of what an idea is if they don't know what an idea is. I tend to think of an idea as a mental event of aboutness. In other words, when I have an idea, it's about something. It's about a number, or it's about a blade of grass, or it's about a dog, or a jar of vitamins. So I have this thing that's going on in my mental state, my consciousness, my mind. I'm having an event occur, and it's an event that's occurring about something. When I think of my super cool banjo coffee mug here, I'm having a thought in my head about that thing, okay? So maybe you should think about that. What exactly is an idea? And what does it mean to say that an idea is true or false? Some people are going to say, well, an idea is true if it's something I believe. Something could be true for you and false for me. Maybe I think that God doesn't exist, and maybe you think God does exist. And both those statements, even though they're contradictory, they're both true, because when I say an idea is true, I'm just saying it's something I agree with. Other people are going to say things like, well, an idea is true if the group of people who are the society or the culture in which this idea is being offered, if they all agree it's true. In other words, kind of a majority rule type thing. That's what it means to say an idea is true, is that most people agree with it. Or maybe somebody says, well, I think when I say an idea is true, I mean, you've offered me some statement about the way that things are, and the statement actually lines up with the way that things seem to be. And the closer the idea is to the way that things actually are, is going to make that idea more true than other ideas. So if I say that T.S. Eliot's poem, The Wasteland, is about hair care, you're going to look at me and say, how in the world is that true? That statement doesn't line up with what that poem actually is about. There's nothing about hair care in it. All right, so think about that. What does it mean to say an idea is true? We're going to come across that question quite a bit this semester. I'm assuming you value truth more than lies. Why? Why do we value the truth? Because we know that sometimes when people tell us we're wrong and they're right, we are wrong, we can bristle at the truth, because the truth can be painful and lies can be comfortable. And yet still we seem to prefer truth over lies. Why? Sort of begs this question about the nature of ideas and where they come from. Where do our ideas come from? And so you're going to probably think, well, they come from my family and my upbringing, the time and place and culture I was raised in, education, media, social media, libraries, all kinds of stuff. Where do all of our ideas come from? Some philosophers have posited this idea that we catch ideas, kind of like we catch colds. So we're in a particular environment, an idea is popular, it's common, it's repeated, and then pretty soon we find ourselves embracing this idea, and we don't even know how we got it. And we realize that when somebody asks us, oh, why do you think that's true? And then we really can't explain why we think it's true. It's like we just absorbed it like a sponge somehow, which raises this sort of odd question. I like to think of my ideas as my ideas. In other words, I own them. I possess them. They're mine. But if I'm catching ideas like colds, would it be accurate to say that my ideas kind of own me? And this raises a really difficult question. What's the relationship between the ideas that we have and our sense of self or identity? If you asked me to offer to you things about me that I thought were the most important things about me for you to know, I probably wouldn't say, oh, I'm 6 feet tall and I'm 53 years old. Those things are sort of incidental, accidental. Those are things that I don't have any control over. So if I really wanted to give you a sense of me, I'd probably start telling you ideas that I believe, things that I think are true. I stand for this. I think this is morally permissible, but this is not. Here's the way I think society should be organized. I would start to give you my beliefs, and beliefs are just ideas. Okay, so think about all these questions now as a set. If I catch ideas like a cold, they just soak them up, and they become an integral part of me. How do I know that I'm really in possession of myself if my ideas were ones that I didn't choose to hold? They just sort of caught me, or I caught them like a cold. All right? So big questions about ideas. In the next short video, I'm going to ask you about whether or not ideas can be dangerous.